Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, welcome into another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We're happy to be joined by Coach Spurrier, who's going to kick off this segment. We usually have him in the second segment. We're having him in the first segment today. We've got a lot of great stuff to discuss, and of course, his appearances are brought to you by Meldon Law. They won't back down. We appreciate Meldon Law. But Coach Spurrier, we're coming up on the second anniversary, and you guys are having a big celebration on the 14th of August, I believe.
That's right.
Yep.
2 years we've had the Spurrier Gridiron Grill.
Those
right?
2 years go by quickly.
They went by pretty fast, didn't they? But we've been fortunate. I think we're the top restaurant in North Central Florida, from what I hear, and one of the top 25 in the South. And really proud of the people that work here. They do a super job. They are outstanding. And, of course, the food's so good. Everybody that comes
yes.
Coach Food's really good. And so anyway, we're having a celebration again, August 14th. And I think the tickets are like $66. I like that number,
1966, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I shot 66 one day.
Did you?
I'll tell you that, yeah.
69 is my best of all time.
Okay. But anyway, August 14th, right here at the Gridiron Grill, and hopefully we'll have a big crowd to help us celebrate 2 years.
Yeah, and you've got a bunch of prizes that they're going to give away, and of course, you're going to have a filet mignon carving station and everything. And the important thing is 66% of all alcoholic drink sales will be donated to the local Ronald McDonald House, which is a great charity. I believe in that charity very much, and 11% of all the food sales. So number 11. 1966.
11 and 66. Yeah, that's what our way of giving back. We've been fortunate, and certainly we love the Ronald McDonald House people, the Bread of the Mighty, and some of the food banks services around the state also. So come on out August 14th. We'll have a big time.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot of stuff to give away as well, but I'm sure some former Gators are going to show up for that. Yeah,
usually Chris Doing and Shane Matthews, they're around town a lot. Doug Johnson comes by often. Cooper Carlisle, some of the guys. Yeah, the ones that live around town, they frequent our place a lot.
Yeah, they do. I see them all the time when I'm out here. We've had some great memories out here. We've had Karen's birthday party out here and a bunch of other stuff that we've done out here. So we appreciate Spurrier's Restaurant, and obviously, it certainly is helping with recruiting, I think.
Well, I hope so. We had 3 or 4 of those 5 stars commit out here at the restaurant 2 or 3 weeks ago, and certainly the Florida staff, Billy Napier and the guys, enjoy bringing the players, their parents, and a whole bunch of other people out here. So hopefully it'll pay dividends in the ball games.
Yeah,
that's what we're looking for, and of course the NIL money. We got to compete with LSU and Alabama, Georgia, and
even Arkansas. Arkansas's got a lot of NIL money.
Yeah, so you people out there that's got some extra cash, it can be helped in the athletic department, especially football and basketball.
Yeah, and of course they're going to need $400 million to build a new to add into the stadium and do all the things they're going to do on that. But it is, I don't know. It seems like a lot of money, but I don't know how you feel about the stadium being totally redone. Would you like to see like a little canopy area to shade people, or I don't know if they're going to do that or not.
Yeah, that could be helpful. The chair back would be helpful, I think, and we definitely need the handrails right down the middle of the.
Good point.
As it goes all the way up to row number. What is the top row? 90.
It's about. I think it's
about
90
or something like that.
90,
yeah, we definitely need those handrails for people that use a handrail all the time, like me.
That would be me.
Me too, yeah.
But let me tell you what, I think it's 90 because there was a time when I used to do those stadiums.
Oh, I walked them. Yeah, I walked them all the time back in the 90s. After I had my knee surgery, Dr. Pete said, your running days are over. And he was correct. So the bike and walking those stadium steps was the next thing.
Yeah, we used to do the snake where you go up to the 32 is where I think, and then you go across and then go down and then go up and everything. That was always
a good workout. Yeah.
Of course, that was when I lived over near that area. But I wanted to ask you because when I thought about you when this big story broke last week, because you had a strict policy about no hazing. Okay, and obviously we know what happened at Northwestern and everything. We don't know what happened, but we know what we've read. But you've told this story before about when the guys came to you when you were first got here and said tonight was the night they were going to shave the heads of all the freshmen. And you said...
No, they did it. They did it.
Oh, they did do it. Okay.
We're out of practice. I looked at a couple of those freshmen. I said, what happened to you? Coach and upperclassmen, they said we're going to shave the heads of all the freshmen. I said, well, we're going to put an end to that. I can assure you of that. So I got the team together and I said, we're not doing any kind of hazing like that anymore. It's over with, okay? And one of the players said, but Coach, that's a Florida football tradition to shave the heads of the freshmen. And I said, well, let me tell you another Florida football tradition we're going to get rid of. That's getting on the bus late October, going over to Jacksonville and watching Georgia kick our ass up and down the field. I said, that's one we're going to get rid of too. So we got rid of two of them in one meeting there.
Definitely got rid of that. 11-1
first
against them, so that was pretty good. But I was just thinking about that, kind of the way you took that philosophy. But I mean, how much of that stuff are you aware of going on in college football? But certainly in the NFL, it happens. Guys get taped to goalposts and stuff. But I've never heard anything like what came out of it.
Yeah, that was sad to read about that. I have a tough time believing Pat Fitzgerald knew about it. I really do. He's a class guy. I've got to know him a little bit. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame. He and his wife would sit with me and Jerry at a bunch of them back in the 90s, the Hall of Fame up in New York at the Waldorf.
Right.
And he's a class guy. I have a hard time thinking he knew that was going on. But he's responsible, I guess.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's like kind of with Rick Pitino at Louisville when he said, I didn't know about the strippers that they had, but it's your program. And that's one thing you have to be responsible for. And I know you were strict about those kind of things and took responsibility for all.
Well, yeah, right now, I guess Kirby Smart's having problems with his guys speeding.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how he can solve that problem. Kick one off the team that gets the next ticket. And
good luck with that, yeah.
You remember when I got here, our guys were getting in fights down at the frat house.
They were.
And I had a little talk. I said, if you start a fight down there and the facts come out that you were the instigator, you're gone. You're out of here. Sure enough, one of our guys got in a fight down there, and the guy who was the sort of the bouncer there was a former football player. He was sort of a security guy. He came up and said, Coach, this guy hit a guy and took off out the back door, our guy. So I kicked him off the team. He stayed on scholarship and finished up, graduated. And guess how many more fights we had?
Zero.
No more fights.
Well, they came back when Ron Zook got here, but
well, he was after me, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
That's right. He came back after him.
Yeah, but so it took a holiday for a while. The other thing that happened this week or last week that was a big story was obviously Wyatt Langford going with the 4th pick in the draft, and I was thinking about the weirdness of Florida never having a number 1 pick in any sport. Never in basketball, never the first pick in the draft.
First.
And a lot of it's timing. Some of it was timing when you came out. Some of it was timing when Neil Walk came out. I mean, if Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is not playing, Neil Walk's the first pick in the draft.
Right?
Yeah,
he was number 2.
He said he was number 2. I think Zanino was 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. It doesn't really matter. And you were what? You were 3, right?
I was the 3rd, and it was interesting. The New York Giants got Fran Tarkenton from Minnesota, so somehow or another Minnesota got a pick, and they took Clint Jones, running back from Michigan State, and then another team had they traded and got a pick, and then Atlanta was the worst team the year before, so they traded their pick to San Francisco for 3 guys, and 2 linemen and Bernie Casey, the wide receiver.
Yeah, who was in the movies,
Yeah, and Bernie said, I'm not going to the South. I'm going to stay in California. So he went on and became a full-time actor and was a good one, Bernie Casey. So Atlanta got one lineman decided he's going to retire, and the other one was right guard or something. So they got a right guard for their first pick, 3rd in the first round. Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of strange how that all works out. But obviously, the recruiting momentum that is going on here, and I know that everybody is excited about it. But like you said, Steve, we got to get these guys here. You got to build a roster. And I talked about this before. It's not like he inherited 95 Nebraska. I mean, he inherited a team that was in disarray and talent level was down. I know that you inherited a really good defensive team, and you molded the offensive team together.
Well, the offensive guys basically were here. All the linemen just about were here.
That's true.
Cal
Yeah.
Dixon, Esham, Mark White, they were all basically here and ready to go. Tony Rowell and so forth. And of course, Eric Red, the running back, was here ready to go, redshirt freshman. And all the receivers, well, nobody heard of them because they didn't get passes thrown at them.
They never threw it.
They didn't know how to run a route. Trey Everett,
I think they
Ernie
threw
Mills,
5 times against Auburn.
Terrence Barber. All of a sudden, man, where these guys come from?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people don't realize these guys are everywhere out there. Everybody's got some pretty fast guys. And you got to teach them how to run routes and sometimes how to catch. Remember, Ernie Mills would drop a ball occasionally?
Oh, yeah.
And I never will forget, he dropped one in practice one day and somebody said, catch the ball. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I said, time out. I'll tell him to catch the ball.
Yeah.
And I went over calmly and said, just watch it in a little bit better, Ernie. That's all you got to do. You got great hands, so don't worry about dropping the ball. Just look it in all the way.
That's all you said?
And he never had a problem again. Yeah.
No, he didn't. In fact,
He didn't have any problem. Caught that big one against Alabama,
Yep.
second game at Tuscaloosa. It was one of the big plays in the game.
I got to be honest with you. He was kind of a guy we like to give a hard time to,
Yeah.
because
few.
going into 90, because he had the drops. It was kind of weird, but
Yeah, you can't play if you say, oh, God, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it. You got to have confidence I can make the catches. So he caught balls before and after practice and looked it in and had no problem.
who had the best hands of any player you ever coached in your time?
Oh, gee.
Because when we're talking about, you can use a guy from the Bandits, you can use a Gator, you can use a Duke player, you can use.
Well, they all were pretty good. I'm telling you, from Clarkson Hines, Willie Jackson caught everything. Got to give him credit. Even Kirkpatrick dropped one pass in his senior year. But they all, we didn't have a lot of drops. Not at all.
Yeah. Richey and Jabbar and all those guys. Yeah.
All of them had wonderful hands.
Yeah, and
Now we threw and called all day in practice, and that builds confidence.
did you change anything about your practice schedule when you went to South Carolina, in terms of
No,
did you
not
do
too
the
much.
exact same things, or because I know
Pretty
you ran
close.
the ball more there because you kind of blended in that kind of read option into the offense.
Well, we probably had a little bit protection issues. You can't play going backwards.
No.
But we did run a little bit more. Yeah, we didn't set a lot of passing records, but it seemed to be the best way to try to win.
Yeah,
That's what a lot of people think. We threw the ball all over the place when I got here, but we still ran more than we threw.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got ahead and made first downs and run the clock and stuff like that. But since we were so successful throwing, people seem to think that was our offense when it was really both, running and throwing.
You love that draw play.
Draw play. Why
Chris-
people don't use it amazes me now.
It
That
does.
amazes me. Best
Well,
play
they're all in
football.
the shotgun. They're all doing the
Read option
yeah.
stuff.
So it's almost like a draw is ineffective, but if you put a guy under center is where it gets effective.
At Duke, not only did we run the draw play, but when we had a pass play where we faked the draw, a couple of our offensive linemen would yell, draw. You know how the defense, when they
Yeah,
see the draw,
yeah.
they draw. And those guys, they'd stop rushing since they hear the word draw. So, we used that to our advantage also. If your lineman can't block all that well, then just act like you're blocking and let them run by you.
Yeah,
It's a good play, great play.
Worked pretty well for a long time, no doubt about it. Hey, before we let you go, I know you're getting ready to do a commercial for Florida Victorious, and that's certainly a big thing that's going on with the Gators and getting the, as you mentioned earlier, the NIL deal's going.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's a different day, and it is what it is, I guess. So, I mean, just even women's basketball, I think our budget might be $200,000 or $300,000, whereas LSU might be $4 or $5 million.
Yeah,
I don't know,
exactly.
but it's we're way behind. And gosh, if you want to compete nowadays, I guess you better get up there and get close to even with some people. Some of the guys that have committed to us in football, I think they had a little bit more money offered, but not a lot more. So we were able to get close to what the other guys are offering, the big money, and get some of those commitments. But that's just the way it is now. So some of our multi-millionaire Gator booster guys out there, we need you. That's an easy way to say it.
Well, that's the interesting thing is, you have, that's a story that somebody needs to write is how Florida's got an advantage in that they have no state income tax. So $500,000 here is more than, like 600,000 somewhere else. So just because they offer you more doesn't mean you're going to get more. But these are the dynamics that we never thought we'd be discussing when we're talking about football, right?
That's right. College sports, it's professional sports.
It is now. It's. I tried to explain some of it to my wife the other night, and she was like, "I don't want to hear about it anymore. Just tell me what."
I'll tell you, I saw a special last night. I was flipping around, and it had a special on the Miami Hurricanes of 88, 89.
Yeah.
Michael Irvin and all those guys.
I saw it.
These guys carried their guns into the nightclubs. And they're bragging about it. They're bragging about this, that, and the other, and all kind of stuff. It was, man. And fighting on the field. Back then, if you got in a fight, they just penalty or something like that. But they wouldn't kick you out of the game. So they had fights about every other game, and all kind of. It was a mess. It was. Fortunately, nobody plays like that anymore. And I'm sure Michael Irvin and some of those guys on that team, Mike would look back and said, we probably didn't need to do those things to still win. You don't have to do those things. But it was interesting watching that.
I've seen it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And I remember all those teams, because they were so good. They had so much talent. All right, you ready for SEC Media Days next week?
Talking season's about here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Big Ten's talking today, I guess, this week.
Yeah, and then Big 12 was yesterday and today. And then, although not much news coming out of there, you almost hope no news comes out. Because if it comes out, it's probably bad news.
Well, let's see who would be doing some talking this go around. I don't know. Georgia, they'll keep it calm, and Alabama.
Georgia, they're going to get a lot of questions about their team speed.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the
drivers.
The drivers, yeah.
Yeah, he needs to suspend 1 or 2 games, those guys, and Mike could put an end to that. So.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. All right, Coach, we'll let you go. We'll talk to you next week. We'll be back with more of another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Hi there, this is head ball coach Steve Spurrier, and I'm here with my wife Jerry and our good friend Sherry Houston, the executive director of the Ronald McDonald House Charities of North Central Florida. We're thrilled to announce that the 2-year anniversary of our restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, is coming up on August 14th. Last year, we had so much fun celebrating with everybody that we're doing it bigger and better this year. We're hosting a special dinner and celebration that will include a chef's choice of premium buffet or your favorite Spurrier Gridiron Grill menu, including a filet mignon carving station, shrimp and grits, short rib risotto, wonderful seafood options, and many dessert options also.
Like my famous chocolate chip cookies.
Proceeds being donated to the local Ronald McDonald House.
Thrilled to once again partner with Coach Jerry and the Spurrier Gridiron team to raise funds for the Ronald McDonald House, benefiting families and children experiencing medical emergencies.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill will be donating 11% of all of our money from food and 66% of drink sales to the Ronald McDonald House.
Go to Spurriers.com right now and reserve a ticket before they sell out.
We'll have wonderful food, special guests, and a limited edition of the 2nd year anniversary collector's coins, as well as prizes like a dinner with me and Jerry. We couldn't have become one of the busiest and most successful restaurants in the Southeast without your support. So we want to celebrate with the most important people of our team, and that's you.
I want to celebrate with some of those cookies. Do you have any of those?
Sure do. Right here for you.
Oh, thank you.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Process Service of Gainesville offers a rapid turnaround on affidavits of service for Gator lawyers locally and nationwide. Our friend Scott Hart offers immediate responses on status requests and is a member of NAPS and FAPS. And he has been a part of the community for almost 2 decades. Need service? Call Process Service of Gainesville at 407-697-9592 or email shartgators, that's G8TR, at yahoo.com. And make sure you ask about the Paralegal Legal Secretary Bonus Program. Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We appreciate everybody, and we just change things up every once in a while. We do that. Coach Spurrier has other things to do, so he moves up in the schedule. We started the show with him. It was great to talk to him. Some great stuff from him today, as it always is. People are always so envious of me because I get Coach Spurrier on once a week, and he'll be on again on Wednesday's show, and then Friday's show. We're hoping to get Scott Strickland. We'll see if we can work that out. Just saw Andy Staples out there. He's doing something, a commercial, and he's going to come on in a couple of weeks as well once we get through all these media days. Let's get to our Process Service of Gainesville starting 5. We appreciate Scott Hart and the Process Service of Gainesville for being the sponsor of our starting 5. Number 1, Florida does continue to get commitments. The latest from Kendall Jackson, a kid from Buoltz, edge rusher, really good player, 4-star guy. Look, they're doing a great job. There's no doubt about it. You don't have to win recruiting season, but you need to finish in the top 5. And if you look today, most rankings have Georgia still 1, Ohio State 2, Florida 3. Florida's done a great job. But like I've always said, it's not like Georgia's going to quit recruiting. You know, they're going to keep going. Ohio State's going to continue to recruit really well. But when you're in the top 5, now everybody's getting attention, paying a lot of attention to you. And again, they're not done recruiting. So I think it's just great. I think this is part of what we've talked about with the process for Coach Napier, building this roster. I think we all thought he would come in and immediately have an Urban Meyer type recruiting class, like Urban's last recruiting class. Despite him quitting, they all came here. The players did a great job of recruiting. He's got to recruit guys that he believes in and that he thinks are going to do the right thing. And then you've got to deal with the NIL, you got to deal with the portal, you got to deal with all this other stuff. I tell you what, I'm not saying he earned or earns the millions and millions of dollars that he makes, but he comes close. And most of these coaches do. As much as we like to make fun of how much money they make, you do a good job and you're going to be there. But my point is, you don't have to be number 1, but you can't be number 10. And you can win games being number 10. You can win a lot of games. You can even play in the national championship game like TCU, which doesn't have great recruiting, as we know, but it's okay. But you can't do it all the time. Be a consistent winner, as Florida's been trying to get to. It's been like this, as we know. You're going to have to build a roster that'll hold up no matter what happens. And that's what they're trying to do. Number 2, got my ballot for the Florida-Georgia Hall of Fame the other day. And it is a potpourri of great names. And I kept asking myself, why isn't he already in? Why isn't he already in? Now, the interesting part is, here are some of the names that are on the ballot from Florida. And you can only get 2 people in. Now, what you do is you vote 1 through 10 in the order you think they should go in. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get people mad at me again. But here are the biggest names. Neil Anderson, I will vote very high. Lomas Brown, why he's not in, I have no idea. The 84 game, when he was a senior, was one of the biggest wins for Florida in their history. Mike Peterson, never lost to Georgia. Joe Hayden, Ellis Johnson, and Emmitt Smith. Now, why is Emmitt Smith not in the Hall of Fame? I think he's been on the ballot before. I think I voted him pretty low because it goes back to my same old argument. Is it the Florida-Georgia Hall of Fame or the NFL Hall of Fame? Is it the most popular, most famous player, or is it the guy who had the most impact on the game? He lost all 3 games. Florida lost all 3 games. He never had a great game. He never had a Herschel game. And again, this is where people get mad at me because I say I don't think Emmitt Smith is Ring of Honor worthy the way the Ring of Honor is set up now. I think the Ring of Honor should be more inclusive, and then Emmitt would be fine to be in there. It should allow more people to be in there. But the way the Ring of Honor criteria is, it's what you do in the NFL that counts more than anything. Lomas Brown should be I've said it many times, should be in the Ring of Honor, but he can't until he gets in the NFL Hall of Fame, which probably is not going to happen. It's probably passed him by, even though he should be in the NFL Hall of Fame. But that shouldn't be the criteria. I've said enough about that. But it'll be interesting. I got to do my vote, I think, today. I'm going to go home and do my 1 through 10. Dallas Baker's on that, too. I don't know that I have to kind of go back and look at what they did in the game, because I'm going to vote based on what you did in the game. It's the Florida-Georgia Hall of Fame, not the NFL Hall of Fame. There. Number 3 on the process service. Try saying it right, Pat. On the process server starting 5. I went back and looked at the odds from the early games again. I was curious how much it changed. Really not a lot of movement. And just to give you an example, Utah is a 9-point favorite over Florida. I pointed this out in a thing I did for Gators Wire on the 12 reasons Gator fans should be optimistic. The schedule's not as hard as everybody's trying to make it out to be. It's hard. It's harder than Georgia's, yeah. But, like I've said a million times, the reason Georgia's schedule is not as hard as Florida's, one reason is that Georgia doesn't play Georgia. Florida has to play Georgia. They have to go to LSU. It's tough. They got to go to Utah. And everybody's freaking out about that game. We'll see what happens there. It's 51,000 people. It's like playing in front of half the swamp. I don't know. It's still going to be an adjustment for all these young guys, and I'm not saying I'm picking them, but 9 seems like be a lot. LSU, 2.5 over FSU. Texas A&M 6.5 over Miami. Alabama 7 over Texas. These are some of the early games of the year. Georgia 24-point favorite over South Carolina. South Carolina, if I'm a South Carolina fan, I'm looking at that and going, I thought we were going to be great this year. I thought we were going to beat everybody. Isn't that what we were promised? Well, apparently you're 24-point underdogs. And Clemson 2.5 over FSU in the 4th week of the season. I looked that up because I was curious. We were talking about it on the radio, FSU, and how everybody's got them in the playoffs already and in the national championship game and all this. Yet they're underdogs in 2 of their first 4 games. Now, that means they could very well lose them. I think we all know they could easily lose those games. LSU's neutral site, although Orlando, and then Clemson's at Clemson. But imagine if they do start out 2-2. That is going to be some unexpected heat on Mike Norvell. But if they start out 4-0, they could literally be number 2 in the country if they did that, considering what that schedule looks like. So I just wanted to check on those spreads. I do it every once in a while just because I'm curious. Number 4 on the process service of Gainesville starting 5. Hard Knocks announced that the Jets will be the team they do. No big surprise there. It's Aaron Rodgers. We know that. I would guess he signed off on it for them to do that, although you have to be, there's a rule in the NFL, you have to allow yourself to be on Hard Knocks. I will say this, Hard Knocks is great. And what's the best thing I've ever seen on HBO, I think, was Hard Knocks during the season with the Arizona Cardinals. And they were terrible, but it was just fascinating TV. I loved watching. I couldn't wait for it every week. The Jets should be really interesting, especially the media coverage and everything like that. I'm looking forward to that. And finally, number 5 on the process service of Gainesville, starting 5. Last night, my wife and I watched our last episode of The Bear because it's done. We are begging for the writer's strike to end. I am depressed because it is one of the best shows I've ever seen. It's not for everybody. In fact, I was talking to Scott Hart last night about it, And he said he and his wife watched the first 2 episodes and it was too chaotic. And I was like, it is chaotic, and I get that where somebody could be turned off by it. When you get caught up in it, all of a sudden you're caught up in it. It's really good. I think it's great. The music is unbelievable. It's my style of music. It's REM. It's Eddie Vedder. A lot of that kind of stuff. I have this new thing where I take my phone and Shazam any songs I hear on TV, and now I've got a playlist of just Shazam songs. It's unbelievable. I haven't had to spend $1 on it. Anyway, is that legal? I don't know if it's legal or not, but hey, look, I'm doing it. I don't care what anybody says. But in fact, last night, the last song was a great REM song that I'd kind of forgotten about. So anyway, I'm sad that the Bear is over. I got to find a new show to watch. Scott suggested Hostage, I think it was. I think it's Hostage, and so I may watch that. I'm done with jury duty too, although I do have jury duty coming up, by the way, which we may not be doing a show on August 8th, just put it that way. All right, so that's going to do it for our process service of Gainesville Starting 5. We appreciate all of our sponsors, but especially our new ones, Process Service of Gainesville and the Swamp, who have just joined us this month, and are going to be with us through football season. We appreciate them. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll do the last segment. We'll open it up with Robbie Andrew of retirement, I guess you would call him, of wherever he lives, his address. I don't want to give his address out on the air. He will join us for Yes, No Way, or Maybe, brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteaks, and of course it comes to you on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line. We'll be right back with that when we return, and all of our other fun stuff, on another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Process Service of Gainesville offers a rapid turnaround on affidavits of service for Gator lawyers locally and nationwide. Our friend Scott Hart offers immediate responses on status requests and is a member of NAPS and FAPS. And he has been a part of the community for almost 2 decades. Need service? Call Process Service of Gainesville at 407-697-9592 or email shartgators, that's G8TR, at yahoo.com. And make sure you ask about the paralegal legal secretary bonus program.
Hi there, this is Head Ball Coach Steve Spurrier, and I'm here with my wife Jerry and our good friend Sherry Houston, the Executive Director of the Ronald McDonald House Charities of North Central Florida. We're thrilled to announce that the 2-year anniversary of our restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, is coming up on August 14th. Last year we had so much fun celebrating with everybody that we're doing it bigger and better this year. We're hosting a special dinner and celebration that will include a chef's choice of premium buffet or your favorite Spurrier Gridiron Grill menu, including a filet mignon carving station, shrimp and grits, short rib risotto, wonderful seafood options, and many dessert options also.
Like my famous chocolate chip cookies.
Proceeds being donated to the local Ronald McDonald House.
Thrilled to once again partner with Coach Jerry and the Spurrier Gridiron team to raise funds for the Ronald McDonald House, benefiting families and children experiencing medical emergencies.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill will be donating 11% of all of our money from food and 66% of drink sales to the Ronald McDonald House.
Go to Spurriers.com right now and reserve a ticket before they sell out.
We'll have wonderful food, special guests, and a limited edition of the 2nd-year anniversary collector's coins, as well as prizes like a dinner with me and Jerry. We couldn't have become one of the busiest and most successful restaurants in the Southeast without your support. So we want to celebrate with the most important people of our team, and that's you.
I want to celebrate with some of those cookies. Do you have any of those?
Sure do. Right here for you.
Oh, thank you.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Fight Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it. Okay, and welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We go to our Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line to see our great friend Robbie Andrew. Robbie, what's going on?
Hey, Pat. Wearing my Gator golf hat today.
Representing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what's interesting is the people there at the golf course came to me and they wanted to know if I could get in touch with the guy who did that caricature, the swinging Gator, because he used to work at the Gainesville Sun. I'm like, I don't know who that was. I still don't know who it was. Maybe
is it Jake Fuller?
Maybe it was Jake Fuller. Yeah, it might have been him.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe I could put him in touch with him. But
did
yeah,
they pay him or something?
No, they want to. I guess they want him to do another one, just like it. But it's obviously now becoming kind of an iconic logo, which I'm a big guy in terms of tradition, but you have to move along with tradition. You have to end up with everything. But it's so cool because what that hat reminds me of is the Skeeters logo at the Skeeters.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I think he might have done that one. Yeah, he might have done that one as well. Skeeters. Anybody ever eat there at 3 in the morning?
Yeah.
3 in the morning, you had a band in there?
Ever had a friend pass on the sidewalk outside, Skeeters at 3 in the morning? Yes.
Well, yes, it was certainly wild times. All right, let's get to our yes, no way, or maybe, brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak, Street Dunning done the right way. We appreciate our friends at Big Mills, appreciate Keith over there, fine golfer that he is as well. Number one on yes, no way, or maybe, Robbie, Florida will be picked 5th in the media SEC poll in the East.
Maybe, and I think based on the preseason expectations, that's probably right around where they will end up. And I think they'd be a good starting point for them, I guess. But I don't know if they're going to end there, but yeah, that may be where they're picked. Maybe lower. I
tried to look at find every pick, whether Florida had ever been 5th in the East, and I'm assuming they haven't. I couldn't find it actually.
No.
I tried looking on the SEC website, which, as you know, is not media friendly.
Yeah, 5th. I mean, I could see it. I could see them 5th or 6th. The way the media has skewered this whole perception of what Florida's going to be. So I'm sure the media people are going to buy into that too.
Because Georgia will be 1, Tennessee will be 2. Those are undeniable. And then probably South Carolina 3, and then
Kentucky's beaten Florida 2 of the last 3.
Yeah.
So
I think 3 of the last 5. So
yeah.
God, remember the good old days? Florida beat Kentucky every year. All right. Number 2 on our yes, no way, or maybe, Robbie. Florida's sending 3 players, Kingsley, Ricky, and Jason, to SEC Media Days. They all make first team All SEC.
I'm going to say no way on that one, Pat. Just because I've looked at, some people have already showed me what they're going to be voting on. Florida didn't have a first team player on a couple of bouts I've already seen. So,
Yeah,
I don't think there's any way. There's no way.
that's kind of a trick question because the answer is no way. So, you know, there's only, 24 spots?
20,
total?
yeah, well, you get utility
the
player.
Kicker and the punter. Well, maybe 26.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
hard to get three, and even for the good teams. In Florida, certainly the expectations are that they won't be good. Now, I think they're sending 3 really good players there. I will say that.
Yeah, I think all 3 of those guys are going to end up on the second team at least, Pat. So, and they're all capable. They're all potential all SEC players, no doubt about that.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I think all of them could be at the end of the year on the first team.
And some of these young players that we haven't seen a lot are going to be in that position maybe at the end of the year also. So we wait and see how it plays out.
Only 5 quarterbacks going this year to SEC Media Day. So a lot of schools with questions about who's going to be playing quarterback for them. Finally,
Florida's in that category.
Yeah, they weren't going to take Graham Mertz there, I don't think.
No.
Number 3 on Yes, Nowhere, maybe brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. Robbie, the Twins are a second-half team.
I'm going to say no way, Pat. I mean, they start off the year good, then the injuries hit. The pitching's really good and solid, but they can't hit. So, no, they're not going to be a second-half team. Cleveland will be, and the Twins will finish second or third.
Oh,
and with their record, that will not be good enough to get in the playoffs.
So, yeah, because they're, what are they, 2 or 3 games back at the break?
I think they're 2 back, and they're like 2 or 3 games under 500.
Yeah.
And I think Cleveland's maybe under 500 too. So it's kind of a weak division, but
not a great division.
And so is one of those weak teams when it comes to hitting and getting things done.
I have the luxury of not caring whether the Braves play good in the second half. They got such a big...
You have the advantage of having the best team in baseball. I mean, you need to enjoy every moment of that.
I'm trying to enjoy it because I know I'll be back to that intensity in the fall when they're playing in the playoffs.
But it was like the Spurrier years, Pat. Remember, we told people enjoy this now. It didn't last forever, so you need to enjoy it right now.
And it did not. And then it came back, and then it went away again, and that still hadn't come back from that.
It hadn't come back yet.
All right, Robbie, Andrew, we will talk to you again next week, next Tuesday.
Okay, Pat. Have a good one.
Yeah. All right, see you, bud.
Okay, sounds good.
Appreciate Robbie for joining us, as he always does. He is brought to you, as always, by Hesser and Kipke. We appreciate them. And, of course, it's the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line and the Yes, Nowhere, maybe are both brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. Let's get to our Adams Ribco to go. Gator of the week, and there are multiple Gators of the week because it's every student athlete who is a male at the University of Florida who competes. Now, that's sexist. I always go back to the same line from Spinal Tap. What's wrong with sexy? No, it's not sexist. It's because they won the Capital One Cup. The men's team won, and I appreciate them. I know it's not the Learfield, but it's still a big deal. Florida had 5 teams that finished in the top 6 in America. Of course, you know about the 2 national champs, and then you also had, obviously, baseball finished second, and that's what put them over the top. They were actually, I think 14th place, and then baseball finished the second, put them over the top. By the way, Texas women won their second straight in a row. That's what's coming here. And we talk about Oklahoma all the time because gymnastics and softball. This league is going to be unbelievably competitive in everything that's in the spring. And when I say spring, I talk about in Gainesville. Spring starts what? Late January. So it's definitely going to be unbelievably competitive here starting next year. We got one more year of it only being 14 teams, and in some cases not even 14 because Vanderbilt doesn't play a lot of sports, but it's going to be tough. All right, but the Gator men's team, Capital One champions. That's a big honor, and I appreciate them for doing that. There are Adams Ribco to go Gators of the week. There's a lot of them. That'll be a lot of certificates to print up. You better get on it pretty soon, Zach. I'm telling you, man. Got a lot of. I'm kidding. We don't give them anything. All right, let's get to our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. A lot of you did respond to the weird one I gave last week, which was just, hey, I'm giving you a freebie. Just send me an email. Who's going to be the star of Big 12 Media Days? Now we're getting to a point where we got games going, so we'll be okay there. So a lot of you did respond. So anybody who responded, a lot of you were pretty good. A lot of people said Emory Jones, and I forgot that he was in the Big 12 now. He's playing for Cincinnati, obviously. Some people said Gus Malzahn. Some people, there were some really good entries in the contest. So, and Michael Tudine, I mailed your book off today, and I know I said I would do it Monday. And book and Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks, $25 gift certificate. What a great deal you got there. It's coming. It's on its way. Just to tell you. And by the way, Michael, I signed it, but I didn't put your name on it because I wasn't sure if I'd already given you a book. So if you want to give it to somebody else and re-gift, that's fine. That's why I didn't put your name on it. I said, Pat Dooley. There you go. I'm trying to be the nicest guy in the world. So we're just going to give you a game from Saturday night. Chicago, Atlanta. That'll be your game. Not complicated. It's baseball. Chicago at Atlanta. Pick one of the two teams. We're going to get to a point where we got a lot of games to choose from, to pick from, but right now it is certainly different. Let's get to and that's our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. Let's get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Brought to you as always by Hesser and Kipke. It's a Gainesville law firm specializing in the areas of workers' compensation and family law. Ken and Jennifer take great pride in their one-to-one focus on each and every client they represent. Ken is board certified in workers' compensation law by the Florida Bar, while Jennifer possesses extensive jury trial experience with a nearly 20-year background as a prosecutor. If you don't believe me, check out their 5-star Google reviews. There's a ton of them on there. Or set an appointment at hklawfl.com, or better yet, give them a call at 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke. I did hear from Scott Hart. He's already gotten people calling him. A lot of people listen to this podcast, okay? That's all I'm going to say. I want to advertise with us, but we may be full. We're close to being full of advertisers. And I appreciate all of them very much. Number one on Hesser and Kipke's 3 things. The news came out this week that Dick Vitale has vocal cord cancer. Just sad. Dick's always been a friend to me and a great guy. If you don't like his shtick, you don't like his shtick. That's fine. I don't blame you. Sometimes I have to turn him down or turn him off. But he is a great person, a great human being, and has always been very generous with his time. In fact, I had reached out to him a few months ago, about coming on. He said, I got to lay low for a while. I'm just doing a couple of games. I got to lay low. The doctors are telling me that. And then you find out today that his cancer has returned. And after having all the surgeries and everything, he's going to have to go through 6 weeks, of radiation. I did that too, Dick. You can do it. Okay. I know you can make it, man, and we're all pulling for you here in the city of Gainesville and in the state of Florida and in the country and in the world. What else we got? Universe. The Martians are all pulling for you. I'm telling you, Dick. And we appreciate Dick Vitale very much. Number 2 on Hesser and Kipke's 3 things. Rory McIlroy was asked today about the story that came out from Congress because it was in a slideshow about how the proposal was made by the LIV Tour in the dealings with the PGA Tour to come together, and we'd like Tiger and Rory McIlroy to be captains of teams and be on the LIV Tour every once in a while. And McIlroy was asked about it at the Scottish Open, and he said, I'd rather retire than play on a LIV Tour. Man, he hates the LIV Tour. He hates it like I hate it. I told the story the other day about how we were trying to find something to watch. We ended up on it, and my wife was trying to get me to explain some of the things to her, and I couldn't do it. And she goes, "Why is there music in the course?" I go, "Turn it off, please. I don't. You're right. I can't watch this." Rory and I think alike, and we look alike too. Very much same build. Hit the ball just as far, but I love that he's still fighting with him. Finally, on Hesser and Kipke's Three Things, the SEC Network announced they will have 47 hours of studio time on SEC Media Week, 4 days, I guess it is, so not quite a week. 47 hours, so it means they're just going to be on all the time. And thank goodness, because we don't have to watch Tennessee Day or Vanderbilt Day, or those are just unwatchable. And it also knocks Feinbaum off the air, which if you want to watch, if you like Paul, and we love Paul, Paul's been on this show many times, and we'll probably get him on some point in between the end of media days and the start of the season. I'm sure we'll have him on. So we appreciate him as always, but I'm curious to see how Nashville will do. They'll do great. I mean, the reason they're there is because Commissioner Sankey saw it on the NFL draft, the way they responded, the way they took care of things, and that's one reason they're going to Nashville. First time ever there. I think it'll be a blast. I wish I was going, but again, it's like I told my wife, you know, I would go to the College World Series, but nobody's paying for me to go there. If somebody wants to pay for me to go there, I'll be happy to go there. I'll write stories for you. I'll do anything. All right, that is our Hesser and Kipke Three Things. Appreciate them for being on. The Swamp, of course, we all know about the Swamp Restaurant, how great it is, and Sangria Saturdays are what you got it cool and refreshing on a Saturday. It's hot out there. They're selling sangrias on Saturday. Well, they're special on Saturday. So you can go see them there, and they will take care of you. And, of course, they have a great Sunday brunch as well. And so we appreciate the Swamp Restaurant for sponsoring Games of the Weekend. We've got games to talk about now. Let's talk about what we have this weekend. Saturday, Cleveland at Texas is on FS1 at 4:05. Chicago at Atlanta, as we mentioned earlier, 7:15 on Fox. You can keep track of who you picked. We also have Sunday, Houston at the LA Angels, which is on ESPN at 7. That'll be a good game, you know. I'm just glad there are live games back on. And then the Golf Channel will show the Scottish Open Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 12 on the Golf Channel. CBS carries it from 12 to 3. So that's great. And then Monday, of course, is the first day of SEC Media Days. We'll be doing a show Tuesday for Wednesday. So we'll have a lot to talk about then. The kickoff is 11:30 with Greg Sankey. That's Eastern Time up in Nashville. That's when he'll do his State of the SEC press conference and everything. Doesn't usually take questions, but he does make the rounds and talk to everybody. So he's great. I love Greg Sankey. And again, he's been on this show several times, and we'll get him on again. First day, Monday, LSU, Missouri, Texas A&M. Starts off with a bang. LSU, a lot of people are going to pick them to be in the playoffs, although Brian Kelly won't say anything. That is our Swamp, the Swamp, Games of the Weekend. Let's get to this, that, and the other, which is brought to you by our great friends at Ballyhoo Grill, and by Ironwood Golf Course, and by Dar Shakow Insurance, where you go to get your insurance. I was looking this up. I was curious about this. When Florida Field was built in 1930, the cost was $118,000. Now, today, and again, they only built a lower bowl, but today that would be about a little over $2 million if you go to today's money. So it's a lot of money. John Tiger did a heck of a job leading the charge there. There's a reason why the Tiger Hall is named after him. He was also formative, a big part of the formation of the SEC as well. So congratulations to him. But so that was the this that it opened in 1930 at a cost of $118,000. That was when they bowled in first the south end zone under Charlie Pell and made it an actual bowl, and then obviously the north end zone when they went up and built the sunshine seats and the touchdown terrace and all that, and that changed everything. Both of them very costly, but not the level they're about to go with at the other. Which the other, and Spurrier did give us a this, that, and the other today. I love that. It was great. The other is that Florida's about to spend $400 million on redoing the whole stadium and making it modern. It is kind of sluggish, to be honest with you. I mean, I know it's almost sacrilegious to say Swamp's kind of a dump. It's not really a dump, but it is a lot that needs to happen at that place. And Scott, we all know what he did with baseball. You know, we all know what he and Jeremy did with all these other places. I mean, Florida is right there. They're about to redo the basketball as well, and they need to do this to the Swamp. You got to get people to come to the games, and it's not just enough that the Gators are playing anymore. You've got to make them comfortable, and even if it means reducing capacity, and they will. So we'll see how that goes. Finally, it's time for Pat Dooley's Storytime, brought to you as always by our great friends at East Lake Pediatrics, sponsors of the Bob Dooley Invitational, one of the many sponsors of the Bob Dooley Invitational. I think I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. It's my favorite SEC Media Days story. I'll try to keep it brief because we're running late. The year that we went there, this was in Hoover, and there was a place you could go and buy drinks like late at night. You'd come back from eating dinner and you'd stop in there, and it's kind of different now the way it was all set up in Hoover, but they were expensive drinks. Like a glass of wine was like $9, stuff like that, and that's expensive for me. But at any rate, we're in there and we just stop in there for a nightcap, and somebody, I think it was Joey Knight, goes, I think that's Billy Powell over there. Billy Powell from Leonard Skinner. And I said, I think it is. Well, a little bit later, he gets up and goes to the bar, and I go, I got to do this. I'm going to go buy Billy Powell from Leonard Skinner to drink. So I went up there and said, hey, it's on me. Whatever you want. If any of your friends want to drink, I'm paying for it. Big fan. You know, I'm not a huge fan. I'm a fan, a fan. I love a lot of Leonard Skinner. I watched the documentary. I like them. They're not my top 10, but I'm a fan. So he was very nice guy. And so we went back and sat down. About 20 minutes later, all of a sudden we hear the piano start up. And Billy Powell is playing Freebird. He plays the whole song straight through. And nobody's singing, nobody's accompanying. He just plays the whole song, and we are just sitting there with mouths agape. And we had to keep nudging each other, don't start singing. Do not go, if I leave here tomorrow. That will ruin the moment. Enjoy it. We didn't have, we had phones that could take video then, but for some reason nobody thought to do it. I wish I had it still on video. I would play it for you right here. It was unbelievable. The next day we were leaving, and we get on the shuttle bus that was taking us to the Birmingham airport, and we hear on the radio that Leonard Skinner has canceled his show for tonight because of illness. And I'm like, did we do that? Did we do that? Will we buy them too many drinks, and that's why they're canceled because of illness? Anyway, it's my favorite story about FCC Media Days. There's one I can't tell you, but I will tell you one day if you stop me and grab me by the shoulder. All right, that's going to do it for another Duly Noted podcast. Hope you enjoyed. I had a lot of fun today, and I hope you did too. As always, presented by Titan MRI. As always, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We'll be back with another show Wednesday. We'll film it on Tuesday, which we always do. And we're getting to a point where we're going to start doing some live shows, so we're getting there. But we'll be back. We'll be back with you next week for a couple more shows. And I think one of them we're going to try and do from home, so we'll see how that goes. All right, until then, I am Pat Dooley. I am deep, I'm way back, and I am out of here.